Good afternoon, Janet. Lovely to meet you. How are you?
Oh, good afternoon. Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here, and I'm delighted to be able to have this opportunity and honoured.
Oh, no, the honour is all ours. Well, when we talk about that and we talk about the number of people who are in education, to me, it is really important that we talk about all four of the big institutions, the two universities, the college, and obviously yourself. You are such a key part of our educational offer.
Oh, well, thank you so much for saying that. We are so tiny, so it's not surprising that often we're not considered to be one of the HE institutions, but we are, and we, as you probably know, we're delighted to receive degree awarding powers a couple of years ago now, actually, and we are fast on track to become the first early years specialist university in the world. So that's
wow.
Also the smallest in the world, probably, but nonetheless.
Small but perfectly formed and
absolutely. And Norland is so delighted to be now, we hope, part of Bath's heritage, and to be a distinctive feature of Bath. And so we're certainly here to stay. And I think we're coming up to celebrate 20 years in Bath in the next couple of years, as well as 130 years of existence. So we've got lots to celebrate and so on.
I mean, I used to live up the London Road, and I used to walk past where you used to be all the time.
Oh, yes.
I think it's because your distinctive uniform, people are so aware of you. Absolutely,
and I know the uniform does bring some controversy, and does, give particular notions to people about that perhaps we're a little old-fashioned and so on. But I think the uniform for us is very symbolic, as it is for many professionals who work in different services. And it's really what we think sort of just sets us apart, and it becomes a sort of symbolic of the sort of 130 years of excellence and so on. And interestingly, that we're about to launch in September a gender neutral uniform. So we're trying to make sure that Norland, whilst we retain some traditions and some core values, that we nonetheless are offering a 21st century experience and graduate for for our students. So and for the clients and whoever they go on, whatever they go on to do. So we're going to be offering a gender neutral uniform. We're changing it slightly, and so girls no longer need to wear the dress if they don't wish to, and so on and so forth. So there you go.
That's really interesting, because I'm the 793rd mayor of Bath, and I feel exactly the same as you, in that you want to keep the protocols and you want to keep the traditions, but you also need to move with the times. And I'm guessing, if you're celebrating 130 years, I'm guessing the last year has been quite an unusual one for you. How did you go to distance learning? What did you do?
Well, I mean, without going into sort of all the minutiae of the details, but like everyone, overnight we had to move online and go into lockdown. But we were extraordinarily lucky, I suppose, in the sense that we've got a brilliant team at Norland. We very much, but I suppose because we are so small, in some ways the sort of bureaucracy and the sort of challenges of trying to sort of get communications across and think about all the different layers involved was simpler for us. And we very swiftly moved online and made all the necessary adaptations. But one particular challenge that we did have, perhaps compared to perhaps some other institutions, is that we are really very much a vocational course that's very practice-based. So 50% of what our students do is sort of hands-on practical learning, not just in the placements that they attend, such as in schools and settings and families, but also in the kind of skills that they're learning, like cooking and so on. So it does need that hands-on. So we managed to work around that. And then, of course, we were very fortunate to be able to come back at the beginning of the academic year and put in all the necessary measures for social distancing and risk mitigation. And we were able to actually deliver 80% face-to-face. We halved our group sizes and so on, and we just had to make some adaptations. So from that point of view, we've actually managed to deliver almost as if, there was no change, relatively speaking. About 20% went online. But what we found, interestingly, is that our students have quite enjoyed having a bit online and not getting up necessarily and sort of donning the uniform and so on. So interestingly, we'll probably go forward a little bit with some of the positives from the COVID experience. For example, it's a different way of learning online, and it opens up some additional opportunities, including, for example, being able to have masterclasses from experts around the world.
Yeah.
So we had one recently from someone based in America who did some a lovely session for our students linked to mental health and well-being and so on, and which is very pertinent, I think, in this current world. And we probably wouldn't have been able to have achieved that had we not developed a culture of online learning in the way that COVID has helped, has, I guess, sort of imposed upon us. And so we've taken the good things and the positives and the opportunities it's created and may continue going forward. We also were very lucky because quite quickly we were able to ascertain from the government that nannies could carry on working. So that was quite a bonus, because we were then able to still facilitate, at least our graduates were still able to go to work. So that helped to resolve some of those dilemmas. And eventually we were able to have placements again as well. So again, with risk mitigation in place. So in terms of the impact on us, I would say, well, we've been impacted like everyone, but been extremely fortunate for that impact to be perhaps less than other institutions.
And something else that I found has been a sort of a common theme with everyone I've chatted to is that the necessity has been the mother of invention.
Yes.
And because it's sort of been imposed, you've kind of done things that you wouldn't necessarily have thought you could. But as you so rightly say, there are things that you might want to keep it longer term. And specifically, you can get engagement from people all around the world when you're doing this online in a way you couldn't otherwise.
Absolutely. Another example is that we also offer a continuous professional development program for our graduates, because we think it's very important that they don't just sort of come here, get trained and off they go. We want to ensure that they keep their skills up to date, that they keep have the knowledge of the recent sort of any new developments. For example, there's lots of changes over time that have happened with childcare, for example, about what do you do with a sick child? In the old days, we put them in a tepid bath, wouldn't we? But now we tend not to do that. Or some of the controversies around sleep and sleep training, or even supporting behaviour and so on, and making sure that our graduates stay up to date.
Right.
So that used to involve them coming to Bath, and that wasn't always possible. Whereas now, again, with the culture of online learning, we've now, I think, increased by about 500% our attendance at CPD events. And we've actually opened up all sorts of new opportunities, and we're now going to be developing some postgraduate courses for our graduates, so that they can go on to get further specialisms in a particular aspect of childcare, such as behaviour, for example, or food and nutrition, and so on. So in that absolutely, there you go. There's another example where we may have done this eventually, perhaps, but we would have worried about, oh gosh, it's meant to be a practical course, and how will people feel about online learning? Whereas now, wow, I think, and we get such wonderful packages now, and you can sometimes get more interaction going online to some extent, using various packages, software packages that sort of ask people to sort of interact, like do little mini surveys in the middle of the session to get sort of feedback, and anyway, that sort of thing.
I mean, I was going to ask you, but you've already sort of told me some of it. There may be more. No, it's fascinating. what are the things you're sort of looking forward to most now? As I'm touching wood here. Let's make the assumption
Yes.
that things are going in the way that we hope that they are going. What do you think the next 12 months is going to bring for you?
Well, for us, it's, as you say, being back to the new normal, whatever we're going to call it now. So we were calling it the new normal Norland, but now it could be the
Nice.
back to normal Norland, whatever. But so in that sense, I think most particularly the social engagement activities that we normally have. So we're delighted that we'll be able to get some of the activities that we haven't been able to do, for example, social gatherings of students. We often have well-being events on campus where they're able to mix and different year groups mix together, for example. We'll have our reunion events, for example, that we've had to sort of postpone. So I think that's the particular aspect. We're looking forward to being able to have a staff Christmas party again, you know. I think that's, like everyone, that's the bit that we've missed out most on, is those little moments, those little occasions where we can sort of come together in a more relaxed way and interact and build those relationships and so on. So I think that we're particularly looking forward to those. We used to have monthly lunches, for example.
There you go.
We can have those again. We can have sort of proper staff meetings in person again.
Yes, I'm very, very grateful for Zoom. It's made my year be able to do far more stuff. So I'm not dissing Zoom at all, but it's still not quite the same, is it? Still not quite the same as being. It's not
quite the same. And I think our brains are wired for 3D, aren't they? And so there's all that sort of additional information that you pick up, those sort of nuances of body language and I think the biggest thing for us, I don't know if you found this with meetings and so on, whilst on some level it's, you know, people don't have to travel, it's sometimes easier for people to get together and so on. One of the things we found is that it's quite hard because you're not seeing everybody, so people sort of end up interrupting quite quickly others, and it's quite hard to manage sometimes, whereas you're often picking up those social cues almost sort of subtly, aren't you? And so you don't get quite so many interruptions or people speaking all at the same time. So sometimes it can make it quite hectic holding meetings.
I find them, as I say, I really appreciate them. I actually find them more tiring than a physical meeting. And I think you're absolutely right, Janet. I think it's because your senses are just looking at the screen and you're not taking in all the other bits of information you normally would. So you're sort of concentrating in a different way. And over a period of time, you know, I'm sure there are things that we will carry on, or the mayoralty will carry on doing online. And you're exactly right. There are times when a meeting's finished at 10 o'clock at night and you're not thinking, oh, how do I get home now? You're switching your iPad off and getting a cup of Ovaltine,
so some of the pros and cons,
which has been great. But I think, like in most things in life, it's about balance, isn't it? It's about being able to do some online learning or online interaction, but also, you know, as you said, it's the fact you miss out on bumping into someone in the corridor and just exchanging 2 or 3 sentences, because that's normal human interaction that without that, I think at heart we're social animals and we've really missed it.
Absolutely. And as you say, miss some more, you know, via email, misunderstandings can arise. You lose, the tone can appear more kind of abrupt. And so that can sort of lead to some more tensions perhaps. And also you have to have more meetings because you can't just pop down the corridor and put your head around someone's, you know, office door and just sort of say, oh, could we just clarify something? So yes. So lots of, you know, going back to that will be good. Yeah.
And I hope from what you said, I sense you're incredibly proud of your team and how they've handled all this.
Absolutely. We had a very, very long staff meeting at the end of last year after the first initial lockdown, because it was very, very intense, you know, daily meetings, that sort of thing. I'm sure it's the same for everyone. It's been a little bit easier this time round because we're more prepared and we knew what was coming. But we had a very long staff meeting where we were able to thank every single member of staff. We had, I've got it here actually, a special cup, which was quite fun.
Nice.
saying here with their name on and a sort of Norland emblem, but basically saying "hero at work," sort of thing. And then a little rainbow at the bottom to remind us the context was because of COVID. Just and sort of each member of staff, what was wonderful. I mean, again, I could do this because we have a relatively small staff compared to, for example, an enormous university, but I was able to individually, there was something I could say about every single member who had done something above and beyond or additional to their role, or had helped out someone else, because some staff were less busy, of course, and others were more busy. And it was wonderful to be able to sort of note that resilience and that camaraderie and that sense of we're all in this together. Yeah. And everyone helping out and, you know, making sure we rode this wave and, you know, successfully. So, yeah, so absolutely.
And I need to say, I don't need to say, I want to say that as we started off at the beginning, you know, you are a very, very, very important educational establishment within the city of Bath. And one of the honours of being the Mayor of Bath is to be able to use the phrase on behalf of the city of Bath. But I do want to say on behalf of the city of Bath, you are so, so valued. I hope you hear that from the heart, that because you bring something that is different. And as you say, 130 years of history, although albeit only 20 of them have been here, it is pretty special. And a lot of people associate Norland Nannies with Bath and Bath with Norland Nannies. I think that's only got to be good for the two institutions. So please pass your thanks on to the whole of your team as well from the city of Bath for what they've done and will continue to do.
Oh, I will do, and we're just honoured to hear you say that, and I will certainly pass that on to all the staff and our students. And you know, I do hope that we continue to be a credit to Bath, and we're, as I said myself, we're so proud to be part of Bath's heritage now, and long may that continue. I hope.
What a wonderful way to end. Janet, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Cheerio.